Okay, I have 10 o'clock, so we will begin. And this is probably the way we're going to do business for a while. It's a hybrid meeting, I'd call it. Pine County Commissioner Matt Ludwig will be attending the Pine County Board of Commissioners regular meeting today via interactive technology pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.02. Commissioner Ludwig will be seen and heard at the meeting by electronic means and will participate from Skybridge Suites 235th Commerce Avenue Drive, Rochester. Public is invited to join this meeting, and I know some of you are, so we welcome you. With that, we will call the meeting to order. And rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the
States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Just for those of you, we've got three commissioners here, myself, Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Lovegren, Commissioner Waldham has an excused absent, and Commissioner Ludwig is on our TV screen. So welcome, everybody. Public forum. Is there anybody here or on the call that wishes to speak in public forum? Nobody's raising their hand, Ryan? Okay. We'll move on to the agenda. Are there any additions?
Mr. Chair, we have one addition to the consent agenda, item number 3, a contract amendment with Lakes and Pines for their past administration of the low income septic grant program for the time period January 2017 to July 2021.
That's it.
That is it.
I'll then look for a motion to approve the agenda or adopt the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore to adopt the agenda as amended. Do we have any discussion? Not. Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Move to the minutes of the July 20th County Board meeting and summary for publication, and the minutes of the July 21st, 2021 special meeting committee of the whole.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Moore, seconded by Lovegren to approve those minutes. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren. District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes,
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Thank you.
and then the minutes of the board's reports and correspondence, the Pine County Land Surveyor's monthly report for July of 2021.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
I'll second.
A motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore. Is any discussion? If not, Debbie?
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll move then to the consent agenda with the item added.
Ludwig will move.
Lovegren will second.
We got Ludwig and Lovegren. Any discussion? If not, Debbie?
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye. Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. we'll move it then to the regular meeting, the Land and Zoning Advisory Committee report. We did provide an overview of this meeting, but we have some things that we have to pass here. Do you need to talk about those?
I sure can. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, before you, you have two resolutions to consider. The first resolution is 2021-55, which is the terms and conditions and the sale listing for our public land sale that will occur in September. And then the second resolution is 2021-56, and that is the terms and conditions for the sealed bid land auction that will also occur. That sealed bid one, just for clarification, that's when you have these teeny little parcels that it only makes sense for an adjoining landowner to own. And so that's what those are. I don't know if you want to take those two resolutions and then move on to the Memorial Forest Ordinance.
Yes, let's do the resolutions first.
There's no changes in this from prior years, correct?
Correct.
I think so. I'll make a motion to approve that.
Both resolutions?
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion by Lovegren, second by Moore to approve resolution 2021-55 and 2021-56. Any discussion? Not. Debbie?
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we talked about the County Memorial Forest Ordinance, if you want to.
Sure, I'll just give you a brief overview of what that is. This is a new ordinance that we are proposing, and it manages the uses, the public uses within the Memorial Forest. Over the years, we've talked about economic development and how we have this great resource of this county land, and we'd like to see people use it. And wonderfully, we're seeing a lot more people use it. But with that, of course, comes other things that we need to address, such as hunting and camping and trail use, timber damage within those memorial forests. And the only way to have an enforceable rule within those memorial forests is for the county to pass an ordinance. And so that is the proposal to schedule the public hearing on August 17th regarding that ordinance.
Anybody got any comments on that? We don't have to take any action today. It's merely pointing out the fact that we're moving forward. And part of what I've heard, I filled in for Matt at one of the meetings is, if things like permanent deer stands on public land, when people put pole barn spikes in trees and then they run them through a sawmill, it's devastating and dangerous. And anybody that's ever been around a sawmill to see what that does to a tooth, insert tooth, on my bandsaw, it just wrecks the blade. But on an insert tooth, pieces go flying. So we want to minimize that damage. We also have people that take it upon themselves to offload their skid steer and make a trail to their deer stand on public land. And so those things seem to be just common sense that you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't trespass on somebody else's land and do things like that. But people do, and without an ordinance, we just can tell them, don't do that again. So that's why we're going down this road.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to add the fact that it's public land. It's not for personal use and people are making it personal.
Yeah.
And so if we can keep it public, that's our goal, is to keep it so that it's public land for everybody to use.
And the main goal is it's public land. We want the public to enjoy it.
Right.
And so everybody, when people start putting in permanent structures,
Yeah.
then they think they own the land.
Right.
And they don't. So
So I will make a motion to have that public hearing on August 17th. Do we want to set a time and a place while we're here, or will that be coming?
So that is our county board meeting date.
Oh, okay.
And so I know that there's one other public hearing that will be that day as well. So I think it's just listed as 10 a.m. or as soon thereafter.
Okay, perfect.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that?
I just got one other quick
Yep.
comment. Everything we're looking at is nothing different than like state DNR land. I mean,
Correct. A lot of the ordinance, actually, we just copied from Minnesota rule that applies to state parks and state forest.
yeah. That's I, like you said, most of it's just common sense. We were always told you
Right.
can't have permanent deer stands. They can't be up for.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could I have you guys, board members, like pull your mics a little bit
Oh,
closer? I can hear you, but you sound like you're really far away, and I think the rest of the public's probably having the same thing.
Thanks for the reminder, Matt.
Yeah.
I get a little negligent with that.
No, I don't mean to be a pain, but it's like.
No, you be all the pain you want.
Yeah.
New technology.
We'll
we're
just
looking-
shut your TV off if you get too much for pain.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Matt is correct. It's difficult to hear out here.
Thanks for the reminder. Is it better
Yes, that's really
if we
good.
pay
Yeah, it's
attention?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. We do have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Hi.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Technology Committee report.
You want to do it?
You
Or-
can, Josh.
Your
memory better than mine?
There's this big, long agreement. Is that the only thing on here?
It's mostly the tax and CAMA agreement. And Kelly, are you going to take that?
Sure, I sure can,
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
thanks.
members of the board. So actually, since 2012 and prior, we have been talking about the need to replace our property tax and our computer-aided mass appraisal system. Our current software agreement for those systems goes through December 31st, 2023. However, it takes about 18 months to implement a new system. Our current system runs on the AS400, so that's very old technology, and we need to update it to a Windows server. With that, throughout the winter, we went through a RFP process, and in May, we identified Tyler Technologies as the preferred vendor. Since May, we have been negotiating with Tyler Technologies, ensuring we understood what was in the contract, what was included and what was not included. And so before you today, we have a contract that is agreeable by all parties. From what we've seen, Reese has reviewed it. We feel good about it. All one-time costs for the system will be paid out of the recorder compliance fund. So that's not levy dollars. That's the $10 for every document that gets recorded that goes in a specific fund. And so that's what you have before you today. As we were reviewing the agreement, the one thing that's different from their proposal is we realized that the commercial valuation portion that they were proposing was not the Marshall and Swift valuation module that we currently use. And so Marshall and Swift is an internationally accepted commercial property valuation module that we currently use. Tyler Technologies has their own, and that was within the proposal. However, in order to get to move to continue to use that Marshall and Swift, there was an additional cost of just under $30,000. But again, that's a one-time cost that can just be rolled out of that compliance fund dollars.
And that'll switch over to the CAMA system and everything will work out good with the new Tyler.
Correct. Yep. So it integrates within Tyler.
Good.
It's been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
It's been almost
Probably the
But-
whole time you've been on the board, Steve.
just about, I started hearing about switching off of this green screen. If Luke, you probably can't even remember what a green screen looks like, but yeah. But, yeah,
Looks like Oregon Trail.
like, the first Oregon Trail, that's what we're
On that
figuring out your taxes on, so. And guys like Luke, I'm looking at you, Luke, because you're helping pay for this a lot more than me, because I don't record a lot of deeds. You do, but, every time you record them, remember your help paying for our system. So the money just doesn't go to the new boat fund for a commissioner, but I wish. But anyway, thank you, Kelly. It's been a long time and we're excited to actually get to this point.
Yes, I am as well.
We've been living on a little bit of hope, I think, with that AS400 for a long time. We want to rid ourselves of that.
So I do have a question. The last time that we switched to a web-based system, we ran both systems just to make sure that it was going to work and everything was good. Are we doing that again? Or do you feel really confident?
So I feel really confident in the fact that they have converted other people from our current system, and they are in the process of converting about a dozen currently through the process. Our process is not set to start until second quarter next year of the conversion. And within that time, there's probably a year, honestly, of just system build and converting all of the data. And so there will be a time period in 2023 where we're running systems somewhat side by side, but I don't think that it's going to be nearly an elongated period, just because it's such a proven system in Minnesota, working in Minnesota. Whereas that system we went to in 2009, they were brand new to Minnesota. They hadn't ever done anything like that before. So it's a company that knows Minnesota, and we're complicated.
We are complicated. I think what did you tell me? We have 60 classes.
Right, I think we're up to
property,
62 now.
62 classes of property. The next state that has anything close to us has like 12.
Right.
So anyway,
I'll make a motion to approve the Tyler Technologies property tax and CAMA agreement.
I'll make a motion to second that.
okay, so we got a motion by Moore, seconded by Lovegren to accept the proposal from Tyler Corporation. Any discussion? If not, Debbie?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Okay. We'll continue a little bit with the technology committee report.
Oh,
Did you vote?
I think I did.
no.
Okay, all right.
No, we
Sorry,
didn't.
I was talking to
Didn't
I did find my
Yes.
minutes.
By the way.
I did find my minutes for the technology committee. I went right past them. So the other thing we talked about, other than the property and tax and CAMA system, was our budget discussion. So we have to keep that AS400. There are some stuff and currently running on it. So we do have some, that's got to come out of the tech committee budget. It used to come out of, Kelly was paying it for a while, but she's using all that for this new tax and CAMA. So that is going to add some maintenance on to our tech committee budget. The domain, our website domain, everything, I think, Ryan, did you say federally, everything's got to change? So our email addresses and all that stuff is going to change. I think we're going to go to pinecountymn.gov instead of the county.pine.mn.us, which I always get. So it'll be a little smoother, I think. It'll be easier. The discussion was there's only one Pine County in the United States. So we could use just pinecounty.gov, but we talked about differentiate, we're from Minnesota, so that's why the MN on there. Two more types of the keyboard, but we think it'll differentiate a little bit so people know where you're at. And then we did talk about e-faxing. We're still doing a lot of the old faxing that has been really hard on when they gotta fax 50 documents to one place. It's hard on machines, it's hard on everything. You get halfway through and something drops and you lose the whole thing and you gotta start over. So we're gonna start with the e-faxing. That's $400 to start, an annual cost of $300. Otherwise, most of the talk was about the domain and tax and CAMA, so that was it.
And believe me, the tech department doesn't want to have a domain change, but it's a requirement, so we'll all smile and accept that change and move on with life. We can be as mad as we want, but all it'll make us as mad, so it'll be okay. So thanks, Ryan, for there's some things we have to accept in life. I know it wasn't on your top 10 things that you wanted to do, but
We've done it before, we can do it again, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
it may lead to some confusion for people that
Right.
email us at the county where they have our old email. Eventually people are going to have to type in the new email address. For a while, it will automatically do it, right? But they'll get, but I think it sends a little notice to them that the email has changed. So
When is,
they'll get the hint.
when is it happening?
It'll begin to happen soon, right, Ryan?
I'll just come up to the podium. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So there is no hard date. It's to combat misinformation with squatter websites that would potentially mess up elections. And so we're trying to get the push done before we have the next full-blown election, would probably be the date that we need to shoot for.
Okay.
So that when someone goes to a .gov website, they know that that's an official government website and the information is correct. So that's the big push federally, is to clean up all of these other random .com, .us, .everything type of domains and put everybody under a .gov. So
So are all the counties changing to this then?
they don't have to, but we might start losing out on grants for cybersecurity, and we might have some problems with elections.
Okay.
Where they're going to require election officials to have a .gov email address.
Okay.
So there's some type of things that are coming down the pipeline where we're going to want to be on that.
Right.
So
Sounds good.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on then to the L&L Hagee Estates final plat. It's time for us to consider the final plat, so.
Okay.
Caleb, you taking this?
If I may,
Yep.
right. So, Peggy, oh, there's a little bit of echoing, huh?
A little
Can you hear
bit,
me?
not
My
bad.
audio okay?
We're okay.
Okay, maybe it's just on my end. He had applied for the preliminary plat back in May. And then the final plat came through the county zoning board. Both stages come through the county zoning board prior to being brought forward to you all. So a lot of the questions, the public hearing was held back in May with the preliminary plat before the zoning board, DNR comments, county surveyor comments, county attorney comments, all of that feedback has kind of been taken into consideration to help Luke craft a proposal that meets all of the ordinance requirements. And it's been an interesting time to go through this. Partly there's just a lot of development proposals, and this is one of several. So there's been just a little bit of excitement with some of the people in the community. So I kind of have been looking at Luke's proposal with both eyes and ears for, does he meet all of the rules that we have adopted in our ordinances today? And are there other things in the future that we were not going to hold him to, but that we should just be prepared for future development? And with that, he's done a good job of navigating his proposal against the rules. Wetland delineation was done, and there's some drainage ways, some natural drainage features, ravines that kind of run through the site. He worked with a professional consultant on designing the building pads, the future building pads, so that the drainage is not obstructed, the wetlands are not obstructed. There were several comments from the public regarding safety along the roadway because there would be new driveways in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. He very carefully weighed his options on how to mitigate that risk and kind of arrived at the proposal as is submitted. There are 9 residential lots. There are 8 outlots. This is an area where the road runs kind of close to the lake, and there was a kind of a narrower swath of land between the road and the lake that were, some of those outlots could maybe have been developed as home sites. It was kind of iffy. There's a steep slope, floodplain at the bottom. So he designed them as outlots where the residential lot owners on the east side of the road will have kind of their own little outlot to access the lake on the west side. So the zoning board voted affirmatively in July that it does meet the ordinance requirements. But I guess I share a little bit of that background on the thought and attention to detail that he's demonstrated and that the county has worked through him on, just because the amount of development that's being kind of proposed in the community, I think we're going to hear more and more concerned citizens. So I think it is important that we're watching things closely, and so that you guys are understanding that that is happening. Any questions for me, I would entertain, but also if not, then we would just be looking for the approval of the final plat.
Question for Luke, actually. So I worked in the property tax division here for years, and one of the biggest issues that we had was when people had 2 lots and then they would forget to transfer one. Are you going to have it specifically in the deeds that lot 1 is also going to be getting outlot A and that it can't be sold separately?
Yes.
Perfect.
Luke,
Yeah, so that's something that I'm asking Tyler Kreschel when he finalizes the legal descriptions for each lot. For example, lot 1, block 1 will be legally described, and then along with outlot A, which then will be legally described, and never to be separated. And I'd like to keep it that way. No matter how many times it changes hands, outlot A belongs as part of lot 1, block 1, and subsequently on down the line.
Yep, there's always so many issues where they forget to do that. And so I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Yep.
Told you it'd be an easy one.
Yeah, good. That's good. No, and my wife and I and kids plan to live there at the property. And so the part of the reason why we set it up this way is because we think it is the best use of the property, and to be, all the neighbors would benefit from doing it this way.
Awesome.
thank you, Luke.
You're welcome. Thank you. Guys.
We had a goal in January. One of our number one goals was economic development. And if you don't own that land to develop, sometimes you're not happy with developers. And you probably have experienced some of that. But I think you've been very professional in presenting upfront to the planning commission of what you intended to do. And you didn't steal that land. You paid a lot of money for it.
We did.
And so we understand that. And I think that's part of economic development as we move forward here. So I would believe there will be some very nice homes built in that development.
We hope so. Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions as long as Luke is up there? I don't want to grill you, but thanks for showing up.
You bet. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
What is? Ryan, is there a comment?
Oh, it's
Somebody was
is it
holding up
Gussie?
a note.
Gussie was holding up a handwritten note that
I can't see it.
I will make a motion to approve the plat.
I will second it.
Got a motion by Moore, seconded by Lovegren to approve the plat. Is there any more discussion? I hear no more discussion. Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
I'm going to abstain.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lupgren.
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh. Have at it, Luke. Yeah, you can be excused. You can stay. Appointments to the Pine County Personnel Board of Appeals.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Members of the board, in 2020, the county board gave direction to initiate the process of exiting the Minnesota merit system. And so we have been working on that process. In December 2020, the board amended the personnel policies to create the Personnel Board of Appeals, which was one of the requirements or hurdles that we had to get over. And so now, at the end of the year, we anticipate that we will have fulfilled all of the requirements and will need a merit system, or excuse me, a Personnel Board of Appeals. And so before you are 3 individuals who are well qualified and agreeable to serve on the board, and you could appoint them if you were willing to do that today.
So we have the list in front of us of those people who have agreed to sit on the board. Amy Cruz, Linda Wolf, and Connie McRutt.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
is this something that the chair appoints, or are we going to do this by motion?
I think we'll do it by motion.
Mr.
I
Chair.
will move that.
Yeah, that's correct. It has to be done by the county board.
Okay.
You have
I
some
will
very
move
good
that.
remarks list. I will
Yes.
second it.
We've got a motion by Ludwig, seconded by Lovegren to appoint those 3 individuals. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lupgren. Aye. District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we'll move on to the medical examiner contract with Anoka County. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the county has been contracting with the Anoka County Medical Examiner since 2014. The proposal is for a 2-year contract with an automatic 2-year renewal. The price is the same from the current contract, with the exception that there's a $1,500 additional fee. Initially, there was actually a contract reduction after the first 2-year contract. And so I think financially, this contract has worked out very well, even though there's a slight increase proposed for the next term.
Thanks.
I will move that.
I'll second it.
We've got a motion by Moore, seconded by Lovegren to extend the contract with the Anoka County Medical Examiner. Any discussion? If not, Debbie, you want to call the roll?
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lupgren.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Holland.
Yes.
Thank you.
We'll move then to commissioner updates. Snake River Watershed,
I did miss both of them.
okay. Opiate settlement listening sessions.
That was really interesting. So they talked a lot about all of they have a lot of different lawsuits going against different companies. It's not just one, and I sat in on it, and Becky sat in on it from Human Services also, and we talked a little bit afterwards. And both of us would like to talk to Reese to see where we're at, because I know that we have our own lawsuit against this too. But it was interesting to find out where the state's at with it and where they're going with it and what the amounts that they're proposing are and what their outlook is. And so what they're hoping is that the counties will drop their personal lawsuits and join in with the state, which I think would add, I don't know a lot about our lawsuit. So, but I believe that it would add more lawsuits going against different companies if we join the state. So we'll find out more from Reese when we can visit with him about it. There's more that's going to be coming. They're just still on the getting things going.
Oh, where are we at here? Lower St. Croix Policy Committee. It's fun to finally get past the organizational structure meetings and actually hear from some practitioners about projects that are beginning. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But we do have some staff on board that are starting to lay out some projects. There's one that they're hoping to actually start maybe yet this fall in the Rock Lake drainage. And I happen to know the farmer who has been talking to the people that put the project together. So everybody seems to be excited, from the farmer to the people that are putting the projects together. So I think it's a win-win. County Staff Appreciation Ice Cream Social. We have the best root beer float maker in East Central Minnesota.
I heard they were
amongst us, and
very good.
I was kind of hoping we'd have if you could have a repeat of that, because I couldn't believe how good it was.
Well, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Jackie is here today. She is the expert ice cream root beer float maker. And so if anyone wanted to stay after, we might be able to scrounge something up.
Were you at the North?
No, I ended up getting sick that day, and so I couldn't make it. But I did hear from the employees that it was very nice, and it was good, and it was appreciated.
I wasn't here for the whole time, but I was here for most of it, and it was well attended, and really, it's good to see our employees in a little bit different, taking a break kind of light. So
It was a hard thing because we have so many people working from home.
right.
So, yeah,
And we have a lot of people that work in other
yes.
spots other than here that they can't get here, but thanks for everybody that helped put that together. Can you guys hear that thing?
Yes. It's kind of
It's-
pretty. I like the
I got to figure out, Ryan will help me figure it out. It's my Ring doorbell, and every time a
Oh.
dog runs by the doorbell, it rings. NLX, oh wait. City County PRPA coordination meeting. I was there.
I was there.
Terry was there. I thought it was a great meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was there
The
too.
best part was,
Yep, Matt was there.
and Matt was there, Kelly was
Terry
there.
was there too, wasn't he?
The best part was when I got there, Leslie and David were setting up a whole bunch of chairs. And the guy from the Township Association came and he goes, "What do you think? They're having a press briefing for the president?" He said, "Last week there were 4 or 6 people that showed up the county I was in." I go, "Well, you haven't been to Pine County. We have township and city people that show up for meetings." And I think between the on-site folks and the call-in folks, we had
50 plus. Yeah.
Yeah.
53 maybe.
And
So
Gussie is on the call, and she's actually the one who I think linked us up with that township, Minnesota Township officer
Yep.
person, Mike Miller, I think his name was.
Yeah. She had heard from people in Mora that they were there and suggested that we get a hold of them, and David got them. I mean, just boom, and they were there, which was awesome. Thank you, Gussie, for that.
yeah, thanks,
You're
thanks,
welcome.
Gussie. And we appreciate it.
Do we know if every township or most of our, do we know how many of our townships had representation? So we know who to reach out to that weren't there?
Yes, we do have a list,
Okay.
so.
I heard from Kettle River the other day, and I had sent out an email to all the cities and townships the week before, just reminding them that it was coming up and highly recommending that they be there. And I did hear from Kettle River, and there was not anybody from there, but they are reaching out for help. So we can work with them. And then for any other city or township too, we're willing to be there for them. What I really liked was I had asked him, because we have some cities or townships that, because the CARES money was so hard to get, it was a pain, that they're thinking about not getting the money. And so I asked him at that meeting, what would you say is the reason for doing this? And I really liked the fact that he put out there that we need to do this for our residents. If we don't do it, the money goes to the state of Minnesota. And why would we not bring that to Pine County? We really, our residents deserve that money. It's a gift and we should take it. And so, yeah, one of the townships that we had heard that was not going to accept it, I went to their meeting last Tuesday night after the ARPA meeting, and they are taking it. So that was good news. So they've already sent in their application for it.
Thanks, Terry. And thanks to the staff for putting that all together. NLX was canceled. Housing and HRA meeting.
Yes, I'll take that, Mr.
Yep.
Chair. Yeah, we had our meeting. Of course, the county, we're involved with managing those two properties with the county HRA, in Finlayson and Sandstone. They're having their HUD inspection is going to happen in the next couple of weeks. And it's funny how that federal government does things. They start with a score of 100, then every gig you get, they knock off points. And then if you get down to 80% or 70% or whatever, the funding that you receive for the residents is reduced. So it's a pretty high bar to keep things going. Then they discussed more the expansion, which is those North Court apartments they're discussing, which is it's on hold until 2024. Through that, we've discussed that I think before on that contract basis with the company that's running it, but that building is for sale. So there was discussion just to keep in contact with them in case things change. They're going to do a 6-month contact thing. Then we had a lot of discussion on the structure of the HRA. And if I'm going to summarize that, we are in a transition phase with it. And I think all the board members are aware of that. And we're trying to get that, all lined up with the county. And I think that's about it. Oh, no, wait, I did have carry the message for Leslie and the application that she put in for their grant to get some presentation on organizing and setting up things. That Leslie did get the grant the application into the state, and that result should be here late August or sometime in September. That's pretty much it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Minnesota Council on Aging. I've been digging through my stuff because there was some statistical information we got from Lori about the number of people that are served in Pine County, and I'll get that for the next meeting. But one of the first things that if somebody calls and says, I need help with Aunt Lena, or what do I do? Get them the senior linkage number. The people that you connect with the senior linkage line are amazing people, and they have all the answers of what a senior citizen might need for getting chore help, getting food help, getting whatever you might need. That's my recommendation for your first step. And the call volume is, I think, pretty high. and Pine County has been taking very good advantage of that. And so what that does then, it sets in motion if you call about your aunt needing some help and have her in contact with that senior linkage line, then that triggers somebody who may be a contractor that works for Lakes and Pines, let's say, and they get money for those chore programs from the Council on Aging, which gets it from the Older American Act dollars. And so those dollars, much like the dollars we're talking about for townships, are available, and it's up to us to make sure that our constituents know that they can access those dollars. The whole idea about these programs is to keep people in their home. We know they live a better life and they can be safe if they need a handicap bar in their bathroom or a different shower installed or wider doors or a ramp. That can help keep somebody in their home 5-6 years longer. And it might cost a little money up front, but it's not $6,000-7,000 a month in rent to stay in Golden Horizons or wherever you go.
Right.
So that's the name of the game. Also, Becky, our HHS person, Becky has worked hand in hand with Lori and her staff for food support. We're most concerned at this organization for food support for senior citizens. And because of COVID, a lot of the congregate dining sites were shut down. They're since kind of opening up, but people have found these frozen meals have been very, very helpful for families. You know, they get a good meal and they can stick it in a microwave. It's got all the meets the nutrition requirements, and it's a good deal. So move on to Central Region EMS.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we had our meeting on Friday. I'll just start with the legislative update. It was good news. We got an extra $100,000 a year for the next 2 years on top of the dollars they're providing now through MSRB. So that's good news. There was bad news because they also fund the volunteer training fund, they call it. That's what goes out to our local first responders to keep their licenses up. Well, that was not in the legislative thing. And I know we've been talking to our representatives and stuff, but somebody at the last minute, I don't know who, they stuck that back in. So that funding got into the final bill. So that's a good thing, because if we have all these volunteers out there in our fire departments and our first responders, we should at least help train them up, not on their own dime. So that's good news. The naloxone portion is, the demand is increasing, and so we've been increasing the what we're buying, and we're able to handle that through the group. So, but it's kind of a sad note. I don't know if it was the COVID thing or what, but it's like it was. There's definitely an increase in the demand for it, and there's been an increase in overdose fatalities. And on that same note, you know, you've heard me talk before about the OD mapping that's going out to our sheriff's offices, and where if there's an overdose in the county, they map it. And just with their phone, they can hit it, and it produces a map for the state. So 80 of our 87 counties have overdoses happening. So, other thing we discussed was social media, and that's kind of a reach out more to our first responders and the rural ones who they don't meet all the time. They all have jobs and this and that. So they're trying to get updates out through a social media contact so they know when they can apply for stuff and when we have dollars for stuff for those local departments. So that's a good thing. So we're pushing that out to all the departments. Then Dr. Mari Thomas, who is the medical director, she did her report on the COVID, the increase. There is an uptick in the COVID, but 87% of the people they are testing, it's just not severe at all. So that's, but it's still out there. And I think that's pretty much it. You have any questions? I'll try to answer.
Thanks, Matt.
Sure.
Under other, I just want to remind you, we got to tour, and I think David did you a virtual tour, Matt, of
I did.
public health. Do we call it a bus or
I call it a van.
a van? Anyway, it's a pretty neat outfit. It's something I know that it's been talked about in public health for a long time, that it'd be great to have an outreach vehicle, because they do a lot of outreach. Even without a pandemic going on, they do a lot of outreach. So they're excited about that. It's really they've got it set up pretty nice in there, and they're still kind of figuring stuff out. The van will be at the Pine County Fair. I would encourage everybody that listens to me to go to the Pine County Fair, stop by and see all the wonderful things that people in this county do for each other and do for kids. The kids have been there working. I've been up there for a week steady. The kids, there's been kids there every day that I've been there, getting their stuff ready, getting their stalls ready to put their sheep and their goat and their horse. And all summer long, I've not gone by the fairgrounds any evening without seeing a horse trailer there and some kids practicing with their horse for a horse show. And we've said it for years, and I'll say it one more time. Every nickel we invest in one of those kids in 4-H is thousands of dollars saved and out of home placement. So encourage them, encourage their leaders, and encourage our public health people. Our public health people have really stepped up to the plate and done a wonderful job. And sometimes they get criticized for giving somebody a vaccine, and that's not fair. They're doing what public health people are trained to do. And so poke your head in and encourage them. I think we owe them a big debt of gratitude.
Hello, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I'm just kind of reading between the lines. I'm sorry if there's an echo here. So are you kind of saying you're going to be creative with the van and, do outreach like to rural spots and stuff with it too when things happen? That's a wonderful thing.
Public health has I believe, some pretty good plans for that van going forward. If they're going to do a clinic for young mothers, let's say, to have something where they don't have to drag in chairs and all this kind of stuff, the breast pumps and all that kind of stuff. It's all there in the cabinets. The person can come right into the van. And it doesn't matter if they're in Finlayson or Pine City or Carrick, they can do those kinds of things. This summer, they're really trying to hit the Quarry Days, the fair, those, Rutabaga festivals, those kind of events. So.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
If I could just specifically, Matt, there is a mother's room in the van, or the van can be used as a mother's room, and they'll be using that for the fair, as well as the vaccines and other outreach.
I can add too, if you go to the concerts, like in Sandstone or Hinckley or, wherever, where they have those weekly concerts going on in the parks, they've been there, not in the van because it was before the van, but they've been there promoting health issues. And they do so much more. And then when COVID was thrown on them, they really got double whammied. But it's fun to see all the other things that they do because they're so busy and they're so good. So, yeah.
Thanks, Terry. Yes, they've been focused a lot on trying to get people vaccinated, but without that, the nutrition stuff, the infant children and trying to raise our health score in Pine County to make all of our citizens healthier. That's what they're all about.
Everything else didn't stop.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I have a couple
Thank
other-
you. Yeah, I just hope it just gets used a lot, so.
Yeah. So I'm on the Shack Executive Board, and we met, and one of the things that they were talking about was they have received a lot of money to be used for all of the counties due to the ARPA money. And so they came with, they have a board now that that we've assigned the other night or a couple weeks ago, and they're going to be determining how much money each county, or the formula to figure out how much money each county gets. Looking at the rankings, Pine County, we're a hard county. You know, there's a lot of people that, and I don't understand the full ranking because it was kind of miffed that day, but when you look at all of the services and all of the things that all of the other counties have, Pine County, all of our numbers were low, where a lot of the other one had, you know, high numbers in other areas. So it'll be interesting to see if Pine County gets more or how they rank that. But that's coming up too. So there'll be something for human services with that. The other thing is we had the East Central Regional Library Finance Committee met yesterday. And we had talked at the last meeting. So this is not finalized yet. It will be finalized on Monday when we meet with the full board. But I wanted to give you an update because we talked about it at our last meeting. So at the last meeting, Pine County was looking at a 6.45% increase, which would have been $359,952 that we would have been paying, or what the library board would have been asking for. And we asked them to fix that and drop it down because that was really not acceptable. So it went from 6.45 down to 4.27%. And there'll be, our portion would be $352,603 instead. And the one thing that we did drop was they had said that they wanted to keep a 6-month reserve, or a 6-month reserve, which would be the 50%. And we had them drop that down to 45% yesterday. And we were above 50% with all of that. And Josh, when you were on the board, I think that they had more than 50%. They had a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they were dropping that down and using that reserve to help pay for things. So then one of the questions is, once that reserve gets down to the 45%, what that's going to be doing to the budget, if it's going to be increasing for everybody down the road. But that's part of it, is they've been taking that reserve money down because they had a lot. The interesting thing was they were saying they used to get, you know, like $2,000, $3,000 a month interest because the interest rates were good. And now they're lucky if they get $10. So it's like, why have a reserve if you're not going to get any money? You know, I mean, there's no benefits for it. So it was a good conversation yesterday. And I'll let you know at the next meeting where it actually ends up, but that's where it went to from the last meeting we had.
Thank you.
How much do they have in their reserve?
I have that somewhere. They were taking $100,000 out of the reserve. They would have had an increase of 8.8. I have it somewhere, Matt, but it's going to take a while to find it. How about if I give it to you at the next meeting? Would that be okay?
That's
Got
fine.
roughly half a year's operating budget.
Right.
Whatever their operating budget is.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
May I ask a question, Commissioner Lovgren? So the library had received some CARES Act funding from the various counties. I don't know if all members contributed or not. I'm just curious, was there any discussion on the long-term impact of that on the operating budget? And if there's a part two, and that is, the library was kind of late to the request for the CARES Act in our planning. Has there been any discussion about the ARPA funds and if the library is going to make a request for any of those?
Yes, they are getting ARPA money. I took all my notes on these, and so now I need to find it. So they're getting $122,000 in ARPA funds.
Directly from the federal government?
It sounds like it, or it would be coming, I think, from the state, because I think it goes to the state and then they spread it out to the libraries. So that's what they're getting. And then, let's see. Yeah, the CARES Act.
But was your question, are they gonna come to the counties and ask for some of our ARPA money?
Yes, because for the CARES Act, they were pretty late in our planning process.
Yeah, I don't believe that they're going to because they got their own and then they're still looking at getting more.
Okay, thank you.
So they had, I gotta find what it was, Regional Library Technical Aid. Is that what they considered their CARES Act money? No?
That's an ongoing
Okay,
thing, I believe, from the state.
okay, okay, because that had it where you could only spend it on certain things. And so they were trying to figure that out. And one of the things that they did figure out was they had money that they figured that they could only spend with, that they could not spend money on that with that aid money, and now they determined that they can. So that's one of the reasons that the budget changed, was that they realized that they could take that out of that money.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other reports? Any other business we need to take care of? If not, we'll declare the meeting adjourned. Check your schedule for all the upcoming meetings.
You know,